Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about Angular directives. I thought of creating a new video for custom directives, but I just want to explain the basics of Angular directive and what are the types we have, and then move on to the advanced topic on how to create the custom directives with respect to the different types. Right. So in this video, we'll focus more on the basics. What is Angular directive? What are types we have and how they differ, and how they help us creating a effective application. Right? Let's move on. Let's talk about what are directives. Directives are a class which will add additional behaviors to your HTML elements in your Angular application. Right? So whenever you have an element, you can add additional behaviors on top of that. If you take the square that I have presented here, just having a square, and then on top of that I have applied a behavior to move. As part of that, I've added wheels to it. So I want another square with a robot face in that. So I have added that behavior to that square. And one more with a candy kind of a figure. So with the square, I want to add a couple more triangles towards it. So that becomes a candy. So that's giving an additional behavior. So however you want, right? So that makes a directive a reusable component throughout your application wherever you want, right? These are custom elements that with the specified behaviors. As long as you want, you can just add the directive name, and then if there is any parameter, you can pass it to the directive and then make it work, right? And there are three types of directives we have in Angular. One is component directive, an attribute directive, and a structural directive. Let's talk about them in brief. The component directives, these are the building blocks of Angular application, because these component directives together form the Angular application, the single page application, right? So we look at the Angular application, mostly we have a component with the selector, and then the template and the style URLs that forms a component. And then within that you will specify your HTML tags and everything that holds all the logic, and that forms the whole component, and that renders on the screen. Okay? This is a basic block of the directives. And if you look at here, the basic block is the square. That's I'm just taking as an example. So as we know that component directive, let's work it out in the Angular application and show you the square creation and how we can add the additional behavior to the square. Let's move on to the code. If you see this example, I have just created a blank application. I've removed all the HTML elements and everything. Just rendered the application. You can see here, which is just an Angular directive as a title, just showing here right here, and nothing in the component. So you can see here, when we create an application, that to it is a Angular 17 application, you can see that's a standalone component. You can see a component tag right here that makes it as a component, right? The component directive. And a component directive should have a template, and that's where I have specified the template name. And then provide it in a separate HTML file. Either you can provide it right here in a multi-line, or you can provide it in the style, in the template URL. And as a standalone component, I just imported the modules that I needed, and I've also provided the selector right here. Right, so this is just a basic building block of an application. So that's why component directives are called as a building blocks. Let's move on to the slide and see what is next. Let's talk about the attribute directives. So the attribute directives, it will change the appearance or the behavior of the element, based on certain types, right? So let's say you want to change the color of the square, I can change it. If you want to tie an element, that part of the element, that you can do it, and you can change the style. And these attribute directives are just responsible to change the appearance and the behavior of the element. Let's say you want to, on hover, you want to change the color. You can do that. So you can do that with the attribute directive, right? So all those things, let's see in the code how we can implement. Let me create a square. Let's created the square, but let me move it a little on the side. Margin auto. We go to the center, right? I just put it in the center so that it will be visible. So let's say I want to change the color of this. Yeah, let me create a variable right here. named as number. Okay, number equals 1. Okay, so whenever the number is 1, I want to change the color of this to blue, right? Let me go here. Let me say ng style equals number equals 1. Then I want to apply a style background, so whatever we have right here, right? So we'll just update that background color. Background color, yeah, I think we need to put it in the like this, background color blue, right? And then if not, I just want to have black color, right? So we can just remove the black color from there and then add it here. We say black. Okay, save it. Oh, I need to save the component. Save it. You see here, we have changed the color of the square. So this is how the attribute directives will work. So you can create your custom attribute directives and say that whenever I hover this square, change the color of it and then populate something on top of this. So all those stuff, funny stuff, you can do it. And similarly, you can apply different CSS classes similar to this. You can create a class and then say you condition. Based on the condition, you can provide what CSS class need to be applied on top of your HTML element, right? Let me add. Okay, so this I think this is clear on the attribute directives. Let's move on to the structural directive. And when it comes to structural directives, it can change the DOM layout, right? So the HTML layout itself, it can change. Okay, so it can reorder the component and it can just hide and show some components based on a condition. So though all those you can implement using the structural directives. So the structural directives, we have ngIf, ngFor, ngSwitch. So these are the built-in directive that we have. But when it comes to ngIf, it's kind of an conditional statement that you have in Java, right? So in any programming language, if this exists, then do this, else do this, right? That's what it is. And then ngFor, it just iterates the elements that you provide. And then you can also show, manipulate the data that you have and then show it on the UI. And the switch in the case, like similar thing that we have in other programming language when this app ends and what case it has to execute. So all these will give more flexibility in designing your Angular application. So that's the part that Angular provides to us. Let's move on and see how we can implement structural directives. And on the structural directives, I would like to explain with the same example. So I want to say, I want to display a square whenever I say the type is square, right? Let me leave the number right here. And then I say shape equals circle, right? So whenever I say circle, I want a circle. And then whenever I say a square, it should display a square. So how we can do that, right? So let me create the div and then say what is that variable name, shape equals square, then this. Okay. So whenever I receive a square in the shape variable, I want to display this. Else, let's say I don't want to complicate this. I'll show you one more thing. I'm just saying whatever. If it is circle, then just display a circle, right? I would like to apply a border of 50 pixels so that will border radius of 50%. Let's see how this works. Okay. Let's save this. If the shape is square, display this, and then if the shape is circle, and display this, right? So I have also said the shape is circle. It is showing a circle right here that shows the square. And ngIf has else part where you can provide else. Let me give this as a template, or you can just refer it as ID. Okay, and then you can mention circle. So for this to work, the circle to work, we have to make this as a template, because the directive uses the template reference to show it, right? So we just make it as ng template. So if you look at this code, I have ngIf the shape is square, then display square, else display the circle, right? You save it, and at this point, even if I just remove something from here, it's going to display a circle until I make sure that it's a square. You can do it, and then you can use ng switch and then ng for to iterate the list of elements. So let's see, I have a list of products I want to display, so I can do something like this. Let me take the code from here and show you. Let me put the products list. Okay, so let me show this. Let me name this as products. Okay, so I have a list of products right here. I want to iterate through this. What I can do is I can just say div ng for equals let product of products. So now we have reference to the product, right? So I can just say whatever we want to do inside this. You can just show like this template reference product dot name, right? Save it, and then go here, save this. If you see here, the list of products is getting displayed. So this is how you can make use of the structural directives to add. So this is updating the DOM with respect to the condition which we have provided, and the template, the directive is playing its role in iterating through the products and then displaying the elements on the UI. Right? So that's the end of the directives basics. In our next video, we'll talk about creating custom directives, how we can create our own custom directives according to our need. We'll explore more on the directives. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.